Absolutely not. Ah, yes, roller coasters. What can I say about roller coasters? Some are tall, short, long or wide, and some make you scream outside. When a risk turns into panic, it makes you want to hide, because when you're moving up with the skies, the G-force is no surprise. Okay, but seriously, the real reason why I'm talking about roller coasters today is due to a content creator by the name of Freddie The Pebble, who has a YouTube channel by the name of Coaster Cool Stuff, where he shares his latest roller coaster designs from a game called Planet Coaster, which is a roller coaster simulation game, basically DIY roller coaster style. His first video on his coaster channel was back in October of 2022, going over the top 5 roller coaster soundtracks from UK theme parks. His two most well-known coaster builds from Planet Coasters are a custom Legoland park and a theme park he called Moments Park. Sorry if I got that wrong, Freddie.
Right. I recently found out about this YouTuber called Technoblade. He has this catchphrase called Technoblade never dies. I want a catchphrase. What could be my catchphrase? Any suggestions in the comments? Emergency. This is an emergency. Okay. Coaster Cool Stuff never dies. Sucks. Coaster Cool Stuff survives. Doesn't sound good. We are the champions. No, that's the name of a song. So it's going there. Street Fox Coffee there. Just a memento and
Really overwhelming. After this, I might need to lie down. So this park is inspired by the dump known as Pleasurewood Hills, and I've already started work on it, but this episode I just want to focus on this coaster. I just love how this station turned out. Also, this station is inspired by Green Scream at Adventure Island. The key line starts here. I still got to do some finishing touches. Comes up through here into some straight track before you eventually hit the brake one and do a painfully slow turn into the station.
But anyways, he covers different topics from showcasing his builds and designs, analyzing real life theme parks, quizzes, and even tier lists. And not only does Freddie make roller coasters virtually, he creates them physically by using Connect.
Face forwards. 3, 2, 1, go, go, go!
Alright, well, I don't want to spoil too much, so stay tuned for today's conversation with Freddie the Pebble, where we'll get the chance to learn more about his roller coaster engineering and designing experience. Hey there, Arma here today. Welcome to a brand new Armavation conversation. Today I'm here with the individual who considers himself to be a roller coaster nerd. Would you agree with that? Would you agree with what I said there, Freddie?
Yes, I am an absolute nerd when it
Okay.
comes to theme parks.
Okay, and he's also a game developer, but when it comes to his roller coaster content, he creates all of that content about
Yeah,
roller coaster engineering, and he has some of his own replicas that he builds from his
yeah.
channel, where you can find a lot of his content on Coaster Cool Stuff. That's his channel. So, all the way from the UK, let me introduce you guys to the one and only Freddie the Pebble. Woo! Yes. Okay.
Woo!
Okay. Yeah. So, welcome, Freddie. Thanks for taking the time to participate in this conversation.
No
Just
problem.
wanting to share what you're passionate about. So, it's glad to have you.
Awesome. I'm glad to be here.
Okay, awesome, awesome. So before I get started, I usually ask my guests, just human being to human being, how has life been
Mm.
for you? With 2024 almost done, have you enjoyed this year so far? Were there any highlights of your year?
Yes, I've had a great year. Last week I went to Blackpool Pleasure Beach and rid one of my favourite roller coasters in the UK.
Oh,
So
nice.
that was great. Apart from that, nothing much. Quite boring life.
Okay, what was the name of that roller coaster again? You just said?
It is called Icon, and it was built by Mack Rides. And it
Oh,
was my first time riding it, and it is a good ride. I do love that coaster.
how would you rate it at 1 to 10? With 10 being the best, how would you rate it?
Um, I would say it gets a 9 from me.
Okay, okay, nice, nice, awesome. So
Yeah,
that's good to hear. All right,
it's
so
good. It's a good ride.
so let's get right into it. Let's talk about the why and what you like to do, right?
Mm,
So, when did you start becoming attached to roller coasters in general? Uh, like what got you
mm,
into roller coasters, roller coaster engineers, theme parks, and
mm.
what made you decide to dedicate a whole channel about it?
Well, growing up, I've been going to theme parks my entire life. When I was like 3, I went to Peppa Pig's World, Thomas the Tank Engine Land. I've just been riding roller coasters my entire life. As I've got older, I got more into them and just started doing more thrilling rides. And what I used to do is whenever I got back from a theme park, I'd go on YouTube and watch just a bunch of roller coaster videos.
Right,
So
right.
it sort of inspired me to start making my own videos about theme parks.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
I agree with you there because sometimes, with theme parks here in the USA, I will look at, the first person perspective that people upload on
Mm,
YouTube, like how the rides go, and it's really addictive. Like when you watch one ride,
yeah,
you're like, oh,
same
I
here.
I gotta watch the second ride, see how that is.
Mm,
And it's also a good indicator whether you feel like you want to get on that ride before you go on it. So
mm,
yeah,
yeah, I understand.
yeah. So I noticed when you first start out your roller coaster channel, some your first few videos on your
Mm,
channel, you talked about the best roller coaster soundtracks at the UK theme parks you mentioned. So
yeah.
in your opinion, how important is it for roller coasters to have soundtracks? Does it really matter, or does the ride itself
Mm.
matter regardless if there's music or not?
I think music is one of the most important parts of like theme parks because they set the atmosphere. Like, for example, when I went to Blackpool Pleasure Beach, Icon has a really amazing soundtrack in the queue line because it really sort of builds tension. Like, I very rarely get scared about roller coasters, but when I
Mm,
was doing Icon, that music just got my adrenaline pumping. I was
mm.
actually getting nervous, and music is just so important. It really just sets the vibe and the atmosphere.
Yeah,
One of my favourite theme parks is called Paultons Park. They have a ride called Storm Chaser, and it was one of my favourite soundtracks in the UK because it just sets the atmosphere just so well. It's a really nice soundtrack.
right, yeah. I would agree with you.
Mm,
It would feel a little awkward to go to a theme park and there's like no music or anything. You just silence. It would just it it you,
yeah.
the point of theme parks is to have some sort of theme. So I feel like, like you mentioned,
Mm,
music is a good, component of that. So yeah. So,
yeah.
how would you describe theme parks in the UK to viewers who are come from other parts of the world? Especially here in the United States. Are you aware of some of the
Mm,
similarities or differences between theme parks, in the UK compared to other countries,
mm.
or have you not really noticed?
Well, I've only been to America once, and I was really young, so I don't remember it. but I do watch a lot of vlogs from theme parks, and many other coaster nerds like me agree. I do think Europe spends more time and money on like theming and making the rides look good,
Hmm.
but parks in America are like bigger. Are just build bigger rides, but are less themed.
Hmm.
So in the
Interesting.
UK, we do have smaller coasters, but I do think they look a lot better and and they're just better themed. In America, the coasters are far bigger, but they don't have as much theming.
Hmm.
Especially when it comes to parks like Six Flags, who are a budget park and don't spend a lot of money on their rides.
Right. And to add to that, do you feel like
Mm,
how you mentioned in parts of Europe, some of the rides are a little bit smaller compared to the USA. Do you think
mm.
that the size of a park really matters? Like, oh, if a theme park has these big, huge, attractive rides, that means the theme park would be better, or is it okay for theme parks to, be smaller, but just, as long as the quality is good? Does that really matter, or does the size matter, basically?
I think that the size of ride doesn't matter much. It's all about the atmosphere of the area.
Okay.
Horton's Park is a really small park. The rides aren't very big, and but they're right. But I love that park so much because they have such a nice atmosphere. Their roller coasters aren't the best, but the way they decorate them is just incredible. When I went to when I went to Fantasy Island, which is a park in the UK, their coasters are really, really big, but they have literally no theming. And I don't know if it's just me, but I far prefer parks which
Hmm.
put money into theming because it is a deal breaker.
Okay, and just for people who may not know out there, what exactly, like, how would you describe theming when it comes to roller coaster parks in general? Like, what do you mean by theming? Is it like, besides like music, is it just I guess how intense a ride is? Is it the roller coaster design with the colors,
Mm.
or the the little props they have? What do you mean by theming exactly?
Well, in sort of roller coaster nerd terminology, I describe theming as the presentation of the ride, the way the ride looks. It has nothing to do with the ride itself. Theming is how the ride is presented, basically.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah, just to,
Mm,
that I feel like for the educational perspective, like some people may not understand
mm,
what exactly theming is, so thanks for clarifying on
I
that.
understand.
Yeah. So, uh, what are some things you think the average roller coaster rider isn't aware of from an engineering perspective? Because I do think you, based on your channel, you are into the
Mm,
engineering part of roller coasters. So, what are some
yes,
like misconceptions or hidden truths about roller coaster rides or theme parks in general a casual rider may not
mm.
know, or they're unaware about?
Well, there's so much which goes into roller coasters. It's quite a hard question to answer. But
Okay.
I haven't. But there are many misconceptions out there. Like
Mm.
I hear all the time about roller coasters being unsafe. My brother thinks it and tells me that all the time. Roller coasters are so unsafe. Why do you do them? But the amount of safety and health and safety go into them is a lot. I'm I love watching documentaries about theme parks, and it's hard to describe how intensive health and safety is at parks because people, the general public, don't really see that.
Okay, so the casual rider, they may not
Mm,
they may say like, "Oh, it's unsafe, it's scary. Why would people do
yeah.
that?" But on the inside,
Mm,
they may not they're not fully educated or aware of how much goes into just health and safety when roller coasters are being engineered, correct?
yes,
Okay.
there a lot goes into it.
Okay, gotcha, gotcha. All right, so I want to kind of transition. I see that you're on your channel, you like to,
Mm,
you have some digital builds, but I seen you had some physical, you build some things physically, and you put together roller coasters like using correct
yes.
correct me if I'm wrong. I think it's Connects. right?
Yes,
Connect.
it's Connect.
Okay,
Yeah.
connect. Like coaster pieces. So how
Mm.
long does it usually take you to build a roller coaster with those pieces? Like, what goals do you set for yourself when you before you start building a project?
It massively depends on the size of a project.
Okay.
Right now, I'm working on a Wickman recreation, and I estimate it'll take me about 2 weeks to complete.
Oh,
And then,
nice.
and then because I do like videos about it, I probably needed like an extra week for filming and editing and stuff like that.
Okay.
I'd say about 2 weeks per build.
Okay, and I'm sure. I mean, how much would you say?
Mm.
How much concentration goes into what you're doing? You feel like any wrong move, kind of like what Lego says, any wrong or sudden movements that your whole piece could be messed up if you like shifted a certain way. Is there any like nervousness when it comes to that, or you're just like fully dedicated and concentrated when you're building roller coaster pieces?
Well, the way I like to do it is I build temporary supporting. So, kind of like how real life roller coasters are made, I build sort of scaffolding and I build right around the scaffolding, if that makes sense.
Okay.
And I have a very just trial and error sort of mindset. I just build whatever I feel looks right and then test it. If it doesn't work, improve. Just test, improve until I'm happy with it.
Oh, okay. So it's kind of like when
Mm.
it comes to writing, you have a draft and then you revise it and then you make edits
Yes.
before you publish it. Okay, gotcha. All right.
Mm.
I noticed I did some research here and I noticed you took a BuzzFeed quiz and your results were that you were an established enthusiast. So roller coaster
Yeah.
enthusiast. So what are some of your favorite UK theme parks or some of your favorite rides and why?
Well, my favourite roller coaster in the UK is called Hyperia, and there are multiple reasons behind it, but it has everything I want in a roller coaster. It is smooth, it is intense, the G-force is just amazing, and when it comes to theme parks, I just look at what rides they have and the way they decorate their rides, so the theming of the rides.
Okay, nice. And we kind of mentioned this previously in the last few questions, but in your opinion, what makes a roller coaster fun and amazing? What are some components needed to make that like 5-star famous ride that you can't forget and you'll always remember it?
It is down to personal preference, but for me, it is how the ride is presented. Like, there are so many roller coasters out there which are absolutely tiny, but are decorated really, really well.
Mhm.
There's this ride in America called Hagrid's Magical Creatures, and it is a small ride. It is 20 feet tall, maybe. But the way Universal decorated that ride and added theming to it, it is a world-class coaster.
Wow. And you said it was 20 feet, did you say?
I'm not 100% sure, but I think it's 20 feet.
Okay, gotcha. Okay. Um, One of the videos I like of yours,
Mm.
which I found interesting, you did a video predicting what rides, would or could be removed,
Yeah.
or could be added to a specific theme park. Can you go over like how do you make your how did you make those predictions and like what are some reasons why a roller coaster might be removed from a theme park?
Well, theme parks look at how popular it is and how costly it is to run. There's a rumour going about that the world's tallest coaster is going to be removed because it isn't very popular and it's extremely expensive to maintain. So when it comes to removal, I just think how popular is it with the general public and how expensive it is to maintain that ride. And I usually just base my conclusion off of those two factors.
What are some reasons in your opinion may will make a roller coaster be added to a ride, like because I know you mentioned that too, you mentioned removal and then you also
Mm.
mentioned additions as well.
Well, I don't really know how to explain it, but there are so many different coaster models out there, each one offering a different thing, and parks need diversity. If you have a park and every roller coaster is the same, it's got to be really boring.
Mm-hmm.
So parks need something unique and different to all their other rides. So I predicted Thorpe Park will build a water coaster, for example, because they're very unique rides. There's none in the UK,
Mm.
and they just they're quite a rare ride. So parks do like to build unique rides.
Yeah, to add to your point, I was gonna make a joke
Mm.
and say, just imagine a theme park where all the rides are just Ferris wheels. That would not be
Yeah,
too appealing. But yeah, I get your point. Yeah. So
yeah,
you play different simulation games such as
yeah,
Planet Coaster and Ride Sims. Were the ones
yes, I
I
do.
saw. And with you also being a game developer yourself, how has some of the roller coaster games you play had an impact on you, or have an impact on you and your creativity? Like, do these games provide a great user experience in your
Mm.
opinion?
Well, Planet Coaster is one of my favourite games of all time. I've been playing it for like 4 years now, and the thing I love about is it is an extremely creative game. They give you the tools, you can do whatever you like in it. So that's why that's why my channel is pretty much built on Planet Coaster
Okay.
because of just the creativity behind it.
Okay. And you feel like that game makes you, like, as far
Mm.
as with your goals and like how passionate you are about like roller coasters and engineering,
Yeah.
do you feel like that game kind of fuels your energy as far as like, oh, I love what I'm doing, like this is fun, like this makes me want to actually build even more stuff in the future?
Yeah, certainly. Planet Coaster is pretty much my main reason for getting up in the morning, as without Planet Coaster, I'll probably just be doing nothing all day.
You're right, yeah. That's good to
Yeah.
hear. Okay, so what's some advice you want to give to people out there who want to make content about roller coasters, or for others who want to get into learning more about roller coaster engineering? What do you suggest?
This is just how I done it, so it might work for other people, but just watch videos about roller coasters. It worked for me. I watch vlogs about coasters all the time, and it just builds up my knowledge. And I watch lots of just nerdy documentaries that builds up my knowledge. So my advice, if you want to learn about theme parks, watch videos about them.
Okay, nice. All right,
Mm.
and this is a question more towards you. Where do you see yourself in 10 years from now? And, what is the main goal you're trying to accomplish for your future when it comes to game development and, you being into roller coaster building and
Mm.
designing?
Well, my dream job is going into roller coaster engineering. So once I leave school, I hopefully will get into that field. And I do game development as a sort of hobby on the side. So in 10 years, I'm hoping I'll have a successful career in roller coaster engineering, and I will be coding games as a hobby.
Right, right, right. So, I mean, that's great to hear because at this
Mm.
time now, you're 15, correct?
Yes, I'm 15.
So 10 years from now, 25, at 25, at 25, guys, you're going to see the one and amazing Freddie being one of the greatest roller coaster engineers in history.
I hope.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
For this section, if you don't mind, let's get to you sharing, a small example or like a short demo of how you build your roller coasters. For the viewers who are watching, if you could give kind of like a step by step to your thinking process and like how it all works while you're building it on Planet Coaster.
Let me just get the game set up. This is a blank park. I
Mhm.
haven't, I just opened it today.
Mhm.
And the way I sort of build my parks is I like to build realistic parks. So I just think of real life parks and try and get inspiration from them. And usually when I first build a park, I go into the rides menu and just see what options I've got available. So a drop tower. So my thought process is just see what rides I've got available. Then I will pick a few. Oh, and then I go into terrain and I use these brushes to sort of split the park into areas. So
Oh.
this area could have a Viking theme. This area could have, I don't know, a mythical theme. This is where the entrance will be. And then I go into the build menu and pick what I want to just find pieces that work with what I want. My first time recording myself play this. This is my first time recording me build something, so
Hey,
I'm
that's
a
all
bit
good. There's a first time for
used to it.
everything.
So if I wanted to give this a pirate theme, I will search for wood and then just sort of start building a rough template. Then I'd go in and do all the fine details. Yeah. So I start just banging out roughly what I want. This is where the queue could be. And oh, so that is where the queue will be. I'll place an entrance, place an exit. Yeah, so when I just first build a park, I just get a rough idea of what I want, and then I'll go in later and do detailing.
Hmm. Okay, so
Mm.
that's the little ramp where people would uh go into the ride. Okay.
Yeah, so that will be the queue. I will put some theming and decorations in there. This is the ride. It's looking a bit orange at the moment, not very pirate. I usually go in and recolour. That's better in my opinion. If I we should have some people down at the park entrance. We
Okay.
got this little girl. One of my favourite things to do when I'm not building serious parks is to launch roller coasters into guests because it does make them go flying and it's hilarious. I'll quickly build something because it is entertaining. Yeah, so placing down a coaster, I
Mhm.
pick where I want the station. Most coasters start with a pre-drop. I am not because it's not always necessary. This is a launch coaster. This is the same model as Icon, which is my favourite roller coaster. That's good. A walkway down there. And then we'll go down on the launch. So usually I will complete the coaster, but
Mhm.
I like to test the rides every once in a while.
They're running all right. Oh goodness.
I know.
Oh my goodness. Oh no. They're exploding. Oh no.
Yeah, that is it
Well,
is one of my favourite parts of this game,
well,
just
that's a huge
building.
lawsuit coming.
Well, yeah, in real life, I tend to not destroy my guests. I
Yeah,
build
yeah.
realistic
We we,
monsters.
we, we want to keep them alive so they're able to get on.
Yes, that's what I tend to do.
Oh gosh, Ed is at the entrance. Oh boy.
Yeah, I love this game so much. By the
Okay.
way,
Okay, so yeah, guys, we had some technical difficulties, but that's okay. So we're going to plan B, and Freddie's gonna show some images of parks he had previously built, previous projects on Planet Coasters, and so he's gonna basically talk about his thought process and what went behind creating this theme park. And yeah, go take it away, Freddie.
well, this is my most recent project. I called it Moomin Park. And my thought process was the way I build my parks is I place all the rides in. Using terrain, I sort of paint out all the areas of the park. So I'm going to place all my rides. And then I go through the pathing. And I basically, the way I do things, I don't know about other people, but I build them in layers. So I do rides, do paths, and then do the theming. So this coaster here is called the Butterfly Coaster. And the way I basically built it was I placed down the ride and designed the layout. Then I went through and done all the pathing under the ride. And then I went through and added all those trees.
Oh, nice. Okay. So, what goes behind like when you name your rides? Do you kind of have a name in mind or a title in mind before you build your roller coasters, or usually do you name
Mm.
your rides after you finished them?
I always name my rides after I finish them because I don't know how projects can go. I have projects which I start, in my mind they're going to be one thing, but they turn out a completely different thing. So the reason I named this ride a butterfly coaster is because I found some sort of wings, and for some reason I just thought they looked like butterfly wings, so I placed them on the ride and just got stuck. Well, this black coaster here is called Wipeout, and I basically take inspiration from other parks. So there's a park in the UK with a ride called Wipeout. I just kind of stole the name off that one. As I'm a realism builder, I build realistic parks. I just think of what would a real park do in this situation. So this park has a lot of just sort of standard names. But on some of my other projects, I try to be creative. Over there is a water park. That was just me experimenting because I've never built a water park before. I didn't know what I was doing. That red building there is a maintenance building. So that's where all the engineers and maintenance is done on the rides.
And that's something people may not realize
Mm.
too when building a theme park. You know, there's always a section for the maintenance people
Yeah.
and the staff like that. If I was playing Planet Coaster and stuff and I was like new at it and everything, I wouldn't even think to like necessarily, make sure I have a building for staff and,
Mm,
mechanical engineers and, all that stuff. So that's good that you added that detail in
mm.
there. What's that on the bottom? Like, I'm not sure if that's a right or not, but on the very
Bottom
bottom left.
left here,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
this. Um, I found these on the Steam Workshop,
Mhm.
and what parks do a lot, most people don't realize it, but what they do is they build temporary rides and then just dress them up as permanent rides. So I found these inflatables. I decided to put them in the car park because theme parks in real life do this a lot, where if they're running out of space, they build rides in the car park. I
Wow, I did
thought,
not know that.
for a bit of fun, I'll do that. Six Flags is a pretty big park in America, and they do that a lot. Amongst nerds like me, they do have a reputation for
So,
car park
so you
coasters.
said sometime theme parks will have temporary
Mm.
rides just as for show.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, a lot of theme parks do this.
Mhm.
Alton Towers done it last year, where if they want like to build something new, but they don't want to spend a lot of money, they will buy some temporary rides, like rent them temporarily, and then just send them back once they're
Okay.
done with them. Hmm.
Okay. And those temporary rides are not to actually be to ride, right? They're just for show.
They are for riding.
They're for riding.
Yeah.
Okay. 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 And what did you mention about the ride? You mentioned the temporary rides. They'll put it sometime near the parking lot. Did you say that?
Yes. Lots of theme parks do this when they're limited on space. They build rides in the car park. I know it sounds a bit weird, but Six Flags does this a lot. What they do is basically just close off the car park and build rides in the car park.
What made you decide to create this theme park in this kind of this scenery, this environment, this kind of like in a mountain, foresty type area? What made you choose that instead of like maybe a tropical area or a desert or
Mm.
something like that?
Well, one of my favourite parks in the UK is called Alton Towers, and that park is just built in a forest. There are trees everywhere, and I just and because I love that park so much, I wanted to build some rides going through the trees and stuff. So I built a bunch of trees on the outskirts of the park, and then I built all the rides in like the centre.
Hmm.
That was basically my thought process.
I see you have one parking lot area, and then you have another parking lot area on the right. Was that done on like purpose, or you kind of just said, "Oh, I'm gonna just put split
Mm.
up the parking lot into two," or did you create one parking lot maybe for staff and other people, and then a more general
Mm.
parking lot for the riders, or how'd you map out the parking lot area?
Well, pretty much every park has multiple car parks.
Gotcha.
So you'll have a main car park, you'll have a staff car park, and you might have a drop-off zone for things like taxis and buses. And then there's other things to think about, like overflow car parks. So most parks do have multiple car parks for different purposes.
I'm trying to see here.
Yes.
How many entry points do you have in this park right here?
Well, this is the only park.
Okay,
This is the only entrance to the park.
gotcha.
But in that area there, there is there's a road there, so you can so guests coming in by car can either come in through there
Mm.
or through there.
Yeah, and I guess if perhaps if a mountain lion wanted to come visit the theme park, he could just
Mm.
come from the back and just enter whenever he or she wants.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Yeah.
but this is really
So
cool.
you can try that. This was my biggest project, and basically I wanted to build my own version of Legoland in Planet Coaster. So this is what I came up with. It's got, I think, 8 coasters and about 40 different rides. This
Mhm.
park was built a couple years ago, so I don't remember everything. But this is one of my favourite projects.
Okay, you said this. I'm not too familiar, but you mentioned Legoland. Where's that again?
Well, there's multiple Legoland parks, about 20 Legoland parks.
Hmm.
There's a few in America, there's a few in Europe. And I loved going to Legoland growing up. That's what mainly got me into roller coasters in the first place.
Okay, and you said this is
So
kind of like a
I
replica
decided to
of
do
it,
my
or
own
you kind
Legoland.
of like is this like something you this
Mm.
is custom, right? But you kind of like got inspired from Legoland.
Yeah, so pretty much everything is my own design and everything. But I do take inspiration from a lot of parks.
Gotcha.
As this park was so big, it took me like 5 months. But
Okay.
I like to work on multiple projects at the same time to not get bored. So I think about 5 months. 5 months sounds right.
Okay. And before we wrap up here, what are some future projects that you have in mind that you want to complete? Do you think about creating any theme parks based on
Mm.
holidays, or like, you know, maybe something based on your favorite, film, or maybe a favorite video game of
Mm.
yours? Like what projects do you have in mind that you want to create going on forward?
Well, right now I have 3 projects in the works. I'm building a recreation of Wicker Man out on Towers using Connect, so that's on my floor. I started to build a Back to the Future coaster because Back to the Future is one of my favourite movies, and I've always wanted to build a coaster of it. And finally, I am working on a sort of compact park. Like, how many coasters could I fit into a single park? So those are all work in progress.
I just thought about like one of the
Mm.
scenes I saw from Back to the Future where he's like going into that place where all the clocks were, and I'd be like, I was
Yeah.
thinking like that would be cool if you had a roller coaster that was just all, filled with like clocks and stuff. But yeah, but Back
Mm.
to the Future one would be cool.
Yeah, it is work in progress.
Hmm.
I don't know how long it will get done, but it's work in progress. I'll do a video on my channel when it's complete.
All right. So before we end it off here, Freddie, I want to ask, do you have any final thoughts, or is there something else you would like to share?
I love roller coasters. Planet Coaster 2 is coming out in 4 days. A sequel to my favourite game. And I love roller coasters. That's it.
Well said, well said. So, all right. Thank you so much again, Freddie, for doing this and taking the time, despite
Yeah,
our technical
I enjoyed
difficulties.
it.
Yeah, definitely. Despite our technical difficulties, we still got through it. This was very educational. I learned a lot, and
Mm.
I hope you enjoyed this conversation yourself. I know this was all
I
new.
learned a lot about I learned a lot about working with other channels because it's my first time on the Discord call. It's my first time
Right, right.
collaborating with a different channel, so very educational on my end.
Right, right, definitely. So, I'm glad you got to experience something new here. Like I mentioned, I learned a lot. Hopefully, the viewers out there that watch this will learn a lot about roller coasters a little more, specifically UK theme
Yeah.
parks and Planet Coaster. So, yeah. So thanks again, Freddie, for taking the time to share your creativity, educating us all. And
Mm.
I hope you continue to have an amazing journey and, continue to do what makes you happy. Uh, and also shout out to your family. um, which
Yeah, shout out to them.
I'm sure they support your dreams and goals as well. And yeah, so
Yeah.
thanks to anyone who has tuned in. If you like content such as this, feel free to like, share this video. Hope you guys enjoyed today's video. All Freddie's links, his websites will be in the description if you want to check out more of his content. And see you next time. Take
Yeah.
care.